Fly belly up.
This is the game. It's cat and mouse.
Smoked a turkey. Yes. He is down. He is freaking down.
Said he shot an absolute giant.
Fall obsession, baby. Welcome back, everyone. We are live again for another Fall Obsession podcast episode. I am your host this week once again, Sam Thrash. And joining me today, we have a special guest that we at Fall Obsession have recently become acquainted with through the online archery world. She is known on Instagram as Just a Lady with a Bow, Miss Brittany Gaither. Brittany, how are you doing today?
Good. Thank you for having me, Sam.
Well,
I appreciate it.
Yeah, we really appreciate you coming on board. We're privileged. Thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. It was an exciting opportunity for me too, and yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity. So.
Absolutely. Well, before we get into our topic, I have to mention that our podcast is brought to our listeners by our friends over at Elite Archery. We continue to be very pleased with our partnership with Elite. Very high quality products that we truly enjoy shooting and hunting with. I won't ramble on too much about it because I know you guys are here to listen to us talk to Brittany about some archery stuff. But I do encourage everybody, if you haven't already, to go check out Elite Archery at elitearchery.com. And go to your local dealer, shoot one today, take the Elite Shootability Challenge, put it up against any other bow in the brand, and form your own opinion about it. Promise that you won't be disappointed. So, Brittany, kind of to kick off our conversation and to get into our topics today, could you just start by introducing yourself and kind of giving our listeners an idea of who you are, where you're from, and where your interest in archery first began?
Yeah. So like you said, my name is Brittany Gaither. I live in Washington with my husband, and we have three children together. Both of us own our own companies, and I get to work from home most of the time, which is really helpful with archery because I do have a range at my house there.
Awesome.
And I've always been interested in archery. I was thinking back when I had looked at some of these questions that might get brought up. I was thinking back, when was the first time I remember being interested in archery? And I think I was about age 10. And my mom, I think, wanted to just kind of send me off to a Girl Scout camp for 2 weeks just to get some peace and quiet. And I remember looking in the brochure and not wanting to go, but they had some little targets in the archery range set up in the brochure. So I said yes. And Mom, I forgot to tell you about that, but this was my experience. If my mom's listening, shout out to that. And we get there, and they don't even have an archery range. And I remember thinking, like, what? This is a bait and switch situation. And we ended up making, like bracelets out of yarn and stuff. It was kind of a bummer. So I quit the Girl Scouts pretty quickly after that. Maybe I should have joined the Boy Scouts, but so then from that point, I didn't really grow up in a family and in a kind of a cultural environment that had a lot of hunters or anything around. My parents didn't hunt, but they were active and outdoors and things like that. But I remember seeing movies and seeing television shows, and anytime I saw archery in any setting, I always found myself pretty intrigued with that moment on screen and just thought, gosh, that'd be super cool. My husband and I met in high school, so I married my high school sweetheart, and he was an avid fisherman. So he was always fishing and hadn't really had an interest in hunting, but I kind of encouraged him, like, why don't you try that? That seems like up your alley. And in 2012, he actually decided to start hunting. And at that time, he was talking about, what guns he was going to get and if he was going to do bow hunting or what not. And so he actually picked up his first bow, and at the same time grabbed me a youth bear bow. So I didn't have a lot of muscle strength at the time. We didn't even know if I'd enjoy it, but I remember getting that bow and then shooting into my garage from my kitchen just at a target. That didn't last very long because it was a rental, and I'm pretty sure we punctured the garage door or something like that. I can't really remember, but it was like ended pretty quickly. And then in 2014, we built a home, and that's when my husband put an outdoor range in. And to be honest, I really only shot like once or twice, probably for the next couple of years. And it wasn't until 2018 actually that I really picked up my bow at all. And I had actually sustained a hip injury, and I was really stubborn, and I kept working out on this hip injury, and it got to the point where I could no longer I couldn't even lift my leg up. Around 2019, I had to go get an MRI and just to see what was going on there. And I had torn my labrum in my left hip. So it
Mm.
eliminated most of the activity that I normally did, Sam. And so honestly, I was pretty depressed because the things the way I like to work out, suddenly I'm doing physical therapy. And in a moment of just total kind of being bummed out situation, I found my bear bow and I hadn't shot probably in months. And I went out to the range and I just shot probably 50 arrows that day. And it was like this moment of complete calm and peace, like totally quiet. It took me to a different zone. And it was much like when I used to do CrossFit and how your brain just kind of, you just check out. It's just total silence. There's no distractions. And
Hmm.
in that moment, that was probably around September of 2019. In that moment, I knew I really wanted to do archery. And then in January, I purchased my first compound bow for hunting. And my husband and I talked about that. I said, I'd really like to actually be a part of what you do because I had been staying back with the kids and my daughter and him hunt. My oldest hunts with her dad. And it always excites me to see it, but I really like to be side by side, if that makes sense, kind of be in it with him. So in January, I got my first bow at our local archery shop, and I fell in love. Absolutely fell in love that day with it. So yeah. So basically, January is really of 2020 is really when I started shooting. So as soon as I set up my IG page, is when I actually started getting serious about it.
Well, and I'm glad you mentioned that because you're obviously we became acquainted with you through your Instagram page, and I love how you've been documenting the journey ever since the very start. I feel like there's a lot of pages and stuff out there that you go to and I mean you basically pick up midway through somebody's journey or they're already,
Right.
you know, shooting very well. Not to say that you're not, but you understand
Right.
where I'm coming from.
Oh
They
yeah,
they've been
absolutely.
established for a while, and
Right.
so I was really impressed, all of us over here at Fall Obsession, with how you've been documenting it from the very get go and sharing successes, struggles, and anywhere in between. It's really cool to watch for sure.
Thank you. That actually means a lot to me because I started my Instagram account for two reasons. One, because I tend to be like the name of your guys' account, a Fall Obsession. I tend to get obsessed with things. So if I like it, I'm 100% in. But that might mean that I talk about it a lot, or I share photos a lot, or things like that. And I thought, this could be one way I could actually share something I'm excited about, and not be worried about what are my friends and family on Facebook and everywhere else thinking, which I shouldn't really care at all. But sometimes people post the same thing all the time, and you kind of get like, geez, Louise, what's going on there? So when I started my hobby page, that's what I just kind of considered it to be. I did not expect it to take off. I didn't expect to necessarily connect as well as I have with the people that do follow me. I've met incredible archers through there and got to follow pages like you guys and just get excited about what you guys are excited about. It's fun to see. I hear about hunting. I hear about what drives my husband, but to also get to see it from all these different perspectives, it's like I can fully understand what it is to be a hunter, an archer, whatever way that you practice it. It's exciting to follow. And then for me, I like to be humorous and I don't take myself seriously. And I think it is important to go, hey, I didn't just get here because I've always been good at it. I shoot all the time and I shoot a ton of crappy shots all the time, but I also get some really good successes. And I hope that does inspire men and women out there to pick up a bow and not limit themselves.
Absolutely. No, I could not agree more. And I know we at Fall Obsession we've had a lot of some recent content that's been focused in similar areas of newcomers into archery, people learning how to shoot, learning how to bow hunt. And I mean we have a specific series about it right now, Cure Your Obsession, and
Yeah.
it's been awesome to see other people like I said before, as yourself, also doing the same thing and sharing their journey, and then throwing stuff out there like the archery challenges, and seeing people like you eat that stuff up, that's been
Oh
awesome
my
as well.
gosh. I adore a challenge. So anytime you guys can take me, anyone else that hears this can take me in a challenge. I'm stubborn. I'll try it until I get it. I'm all for it. And it's exciting. It's fun to be a part of. Just give it a shot to see how far you can go with it, you know.
Yeah.
So I love that. And actually I had met Kurt, your field staffer of the year. I'd met him through my page. Really great guy, just had given me some good advice on different things with my bow. So, and I've met a few different amazing archers out there that have had really great tips that have helped me along the way, since I really don't have a coach or anything like that. So these kind of connections through social media have been a huge help for me personally. And I think that would be the same for anyone that's wanting to get started and doesn't necessarily have a community yet around them that could speak into their lives. Find people that know what they're doing, find people that are excited or on the same journey, and then share with each other. But Kurt had he knows that I enjoy those challenges because he had been following along. And I remember with the Lifesaver one, he had sent me a message and just said, "Hey, go get in right now and go do it, you know, before it closes." So had he not done that, I wouldn't have probably wouldn't have seen that right away. So anyways, that was fun to be a part of, and thanks for letting me well, I guess I tagged you guys. I didn't even ask, but thank you for
Yeah,
letting me
no,
play along. Yeah.
no, we appreciate it. Yeah, Kurt had as soon as you posted your video of doing that archery challenge, I think it was before I even saw the notification that you had tagged Fall Obsession in that. I saw a message from Kurt saying that you had done it. he
Yeah.
he was all excited
Yeah.
about it. So, uh,
Yeah, that was really fun. So
and as far as the archery challenge for your followers and our followers that are listening to this podcast episode, um, while we do share a lot of stuff initially that of other people that are taking on the challenges that we throw out there, within the immediate few days following it, no challenge is closed in our opinion. So people can still
good.
today go out there and do the Lifesaver challenge if they want to. Those videos are still up, showing what the challenge is, and then there's also a page on our website where it's actually printed out there for people to read through it if they want to. So if you guys
Oh,
are
that's fantastic.
yeah, if our listeners here are so inclined, they can absolutely go back and do that, and tag Just a Lady with a Bow and Fall Obsession in those videos for sure.
Nice. I look forward to seeing what you guys do there for all of you guys that participate in that challenge. I really look forward to that. So
Absolutely. And we're going to have more coming in the very near future as well.
awesome.
So we kind of got into your archery journey a little bit here, and how it all started. I want to talk a little bit about some of the growth that you have seen, mainly I guess over the past several months, and see what are some of the bigger milestones that you have reached, and some of the main growth that you have seen, getting a little bit more specific about archery and stuff.
Yeah, and I thought about that, Sam, and I was thinking this may not seem like a milestone to anyone else, but I think that there's going to be some people out there that can relate to this. But one of my first milestones was actually just walking in to a league night and shooting for the very first time and not being intimidated. And I know that's not like, oh gosh, you've mastered a skill in archery, but half of it is just believing in yourself and saying, you know what, I'm going to give it a go, even if I fail at this. Like, I could totally do terrible. I don't know if they're going to receive me. I don't know if I'm going to look like some joke. But what I found was, I would say that's my first and foremost, my number one milestone was actually walking into league night at my local shop where I bought my bow, and finding a community of people that were probably the most accepting, welcoming family of men and women. I really didn't expect to see women there. I think I had asked one of the owners, like, do any women go? Not that I could shoot with the guys all day long. That's not an issue for me, but it's nice to kind of relate to somebody there possibly too on a different level.
Right.
And doing that, and I've met the coolest people through there that have just encouraged me along the way and told me, hey, like, yeah, you have a bad night, you're going to have a better night next time. So that first night, Sam, I think I shot like 100 or 252 on the Vegas shoot. So if you're familiar with that, I post a lot about that particular target face, and it's the 3 targets. You shoot 3 arrows and end for 10 ends. And midway through, so at 5, if you've done 5 ends, then you're going to move your target up or down depending on where you have it placed on the backstop. Now, like, a perfect score is 300. So in my mind, being the really obsessed person that I get, I thought I won't be satisfied till I hit that 300. But also, I tend to I can bum myself out if I don't see a lot of growth quickly. So I determined in my heart that I would desire to go up 5 points per time. So each week I would go into our local range, my archery shop, because it was in the wintertime and it rains here nonstop. So I really couldn't utilize my outdoor range very often. So I just go in every single day, pay my $5, shoot there until league night the next week. And then I would show up to league and go for it. So I remember breaking the 250 mark with a 260, then making the 260, a 270. And my biggest moment to date was that actually there's 2 times, to be honest, but 291 was the moment that I teared up. When I hit 291 during this whole quarantine, I did it at my own land and near 20 yards back from the target. And when I shot that 291, I just got emotional because it was like I just stuck with it. And so, 50 to 150 shots a day, just always getting out there anytime I could. So that was a big milestone for me. One of the funner milestones, beyond just getting good, higher level points consistently, the next milestones that I would say mattered a lot to me was some of those challenges, like the Lifesaver Challenge. That was super fun to be a part of and go, gosh, I really enjoy like 3D targets. And I know that's such a tiny little target, but for some reason I'm able to really zone in on it. So that I shot one of my arrows through a pop can tab, which was super cool at the 20-yard line. An egg, an apple, strawberries. I just get bored, so I like to be creative and do that kind of stuff. But to date, my most exciting moment was 60 yards, one arrow perfectly on the X from 60 yards. And I had just gotten some new arrows from my friend Jake at Spencer Arrows. And those were with my hunting bow, because I have a target bow and a hunting bow. So I have 2 different types of the compound bows, but I've been practicing with my hunting bow since this will be my first year hunting with my husband. But when that arrow hit, it was like a miracle shot, but it felt so exciting. So I don't know if we'd consider those milestones, but to me, all of them just meant that, practice and don't give up. Like, just keep at it and enjoy it for what it is, So even if you don't become super super skilled, or even if you don't become like a high score archer, whatever, just going out there and enjoying what it does for you. For me, mentally, it's a huge deal. And physically, it's fun. It's exercise, even though you're standing there, you're still working some back muscles and whatnot,
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, those are some of my bigger, I think, accomplishments that I think about when I think about what I've done in archery.
No, I couldn't agree more that those are significant milestones, because, like you said, those are showing your growth, and that being able to watch your score increase that whole time in between each time that you go out there and shoot. And I know from my own experience as an archer and I shooting competitively previously, there's a mental game that you have to play, and then there's also stuff that you're constantly tweaking or thinking about with form and other things, and that score that you're talking about and seeing that go up, that is witnessing and knowing that everything is coming together and continuing to work and improve. So absolutely those are considered milestones in my opinion, for sure.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and not getting bummed out if it's just 1 point or 2 points. Just set your goals, reasonable goals for yourself, and have those higher goals too. Don't give up on the idea of, I can't wait. The day I shoot 300, I am absolutely going to tag you and everybody else, Fall Obsession. I'm going to be so excited, and I believe it's going to come, sooner than later, I hope. So
absolutely.
So yeah.
Yeah, please do. We will be very excited to share and celebrate that with you, for sure.
That's awesome. Thank you.
So you talked about and kind of briefly mentioned just a couple minutes ago, you have a hunting bow and a target bow now.
Yes.
So tell me, I guess I'm assuming the hunting bow came before the target bow, or am I backwards?
It did.
Okay.
Yes, it did. So, first I said that I had just this youth bear bow that my husband had got. It was great for not having any knowledge, and it would be great for a starter, someone that's just starting out. And it's a hunting bow, but of course I could actually pull more weight than that one was capable of. So the first day I remember so it was in January. We went into the local shop. It was the first time I think that I had gone into, maybe the first or second time I had gone into the shop, and I picked a Bowtech Carbon Rose. Really enjoy it. I think it's a great bow. I've really liked it. But when I purchased, at that time, I didn't really know which portion, or which what specifically I would find most passionate about archery. I just was grabbing what I thought, okay, so hunting bow, and it's a good bow because it can do both. I mean, I shot that the Carbon Rose at league night for many nights actually. Then starting out league, and I think that the guys too, Sam, at at the shop were not prepared for how often I would come in. So I'd be working super hard, and just want to get a mental break, and I'd go drive down there and go into the shop. And I remember my buddy Jason, his parents own Riverside Archery, but Jason said, Britt, do you even have a life? Like, what do you do? And he didn't want to offend me, but it just made me laugh. I'm like, no, I make sure that I have this time to do this. I need this to be a healthy person, really, in my mind. So I was doing that, and he's like, if you're really getting into competitive shooting, you're going to want to consider getting a target bow. And one of the other employees there, Josh, had started showing me a particular target bow. It's a PSE. And I started to drool over it, but I was thinking, man, I didn't dump all this money. I invested all this money in
Yeah.
the other bow. How am I going to come up with, how can I justify just purchasing another one, maybe only a month or two later, so it seemed like a huge thing. So I had taken the brochure and went home, and then the next week I got a text through Instagram or a DM from Josh, and Josh said, you'll never believe what just came in. We tried to order a left-handed target bow, the one that you've been looking at, and actually they sent it wrong, and it came in right-handed. And we don't really want to send it back because it's kind of a pain. Are you interested in it? We'll give you a bit of a deal. And I really couldn't say no. It was like I talked to my husband, like, hey, what do you think? He's like, go for it. I mean, so thank you, Ryan, by the way, for blessing me to just jump on that and grab another one. But when I came in that day, I purchased it, and they actually outfitted it with some different, like a sight and a stabilizer that other people had traded in to purchase something more. So sometimes they get in those parts, so
Right.
they set me up really great. And I felt the love. I mean, I really did from Riverside and how they helped me in that. So yeah, so I have both. So usually I'm shooting my target bow. If you see any of almost all of my challenges, or when I score points, that's going to be with my target bow. But the long range shooting, I'm really getting back into with the Bowtech, because I'm really excited about trying out hunting.
Awesome. So
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, my question was gonna be kind of about your equipment upgrades, and so
Yeah.
that's why I asked about the bows, because I heard you talking about target and hunting, and I know acquiring a target bow is that's a big step in and of itself. But I also wanted to ask you, just kind of as you've gone through the process, whether it be hunting or target bow, have there been any big accessory changes that have made a huge difference for you along the way?
Oh, absolutely. So my most recent would be that I'm basically, I'm not blind, but I feel like I'm blind from the 20-yard line and further back. I can't see anything, and I haven't been able to see anything while shooting. I just kind of have a good way of figuring out spatially where I'm at on that target. So when I saw that people could get the lenses and get a magnification lens, so for my target bow, I got a lens for the HHA optimizer sight that I have, and it magnifies 4 times. I think you can even go further than that, but you can just install it, order it on, through their site. I don't even know if maybe I order on Amazon, but got that installed, and that has been awesome. I can actually see my my target, and so that's one of those things. That's a good modification. I think the other thing, and this goes for both bows, is I switched from a wrist strap, and I don't think I'm gonna I don't think I'll be using a wrist strap release while hunting, unless somebody changes my mind as to why. But for me, switching to the thumb release, I have just a spot hog thumb release, and I don't remember which particular one it is, but that was a huge change because the wrist strap would pull on my hand, and then it would slip down, and it would change, of course, where my anchor points were, just because it's yanking on my hand. So switching over and getting the right release, I would say, would be a really important thing for anyone that's picking up archery, and really playing with it, because obviously there's a whole bunch. I'd like to get a tension release. I'd like to do, some other ones, and just try them out till I find what really is perfect for me. But yeah, I would say those are some of the accessories, and then I do have a nose button that I'm going to put on to the hunting bow, but I don't think you can use it in target archery. I'm pretty sure that it's not okay to use. I'm pretty sure, like, if I was to enter in, I think I heard that you're not supposed to have one of those on there. So
Gotcha.
I
Yeah.
don't know if that makes sense, but yeah.
Yeah, I haven't. I couldn't tell you honestly. Now you got me thinking about it. I haven't shot. It's been probably 5 years since I last shot competitively, so I can't even remember.
Right. Yeah. And making sure you have the right arrows.
Yes.
I think I'd had a couple different sets, and now I really feel like I know what I like, what I want. So that's important too, making sure you have good quality arrows, and that your rest is, um, it works for you. I went to a blade rest on the target bow, and that was hard to get used to, but I like it a lot. So I don't know what you used on your target bow or not, but
I actually
I
used
found
a
that to be
blade
good.
as well, so
Cool.
I'm very
Yeah.
familiar with that.
Yeah. So yeah, I really like that.
So my next question, and I know this isn't everybody's favorite topic to talk about, but that's bad habits.
Oh,
Be,
that's my favorite topic. Yeah.
yeah,
That's great.
we all form them. It seems like, especially starting out through an archery journey, such as
Yeah.
yourselves. And so, for the sake of our listeners that may be in a similar boat, starting out their journey as an archer, I wanted to ask you what kind of bad habits that you've struggled with and you've had to break along this archery journey.
Oh yeah, I've got plenty. And actually, for me, I think it's kind of a funny topic, because I think we should all just be really honest about our faults if we do if we do have them. But yeah,
Absolutely.
I've got tons of bad habits. But in archery specifically, one of the hardest ones for me to break was how I gripped my bow. So if you grip it, a firm grip on there, you have your hand closed. I found that every time I would shoot, I'm gonna torque that bow one way or the other. So no matter how well I'm aligned, if my sight's adjusted, all that kind of stuff, just that way that I'm holding it is going to have a huge impact on where that arrow ends up landing. So
Hmm.
that took me forever to break a habit of. And as soon as I actually fixed that grip, I stopped having shoulder pain too. So I was having some shoulder pain on the arm that I held my bow with, not the drawing arm, but the one that holds. And I found that as soon as I actually released and kind of, um, yeah, relaxed my hand a bit, I stopped having shoulder pain. So I'm sure that there's like some sort of physical therapist out there that could explain what just happened. But I was thankful when I learned how to how to do it properly, how to draw the bow, how not to injure yourself in that process, but then also how to actually relax your hand while still holding and keeping tension at the same time, which is just seems like kind of a kind of now I can't even think of the word, anyways, but contradictory, So
Yeah.
keeping a relaxed hand, yeah, keep your tension, all this kind of stuff. I think I struggled a lot with the terminology, and for me, I need to just practice something. So when people would notice that, that's a part of the reason I actually showed my frustrations throughout my whole journey, and I'm sure that I'll show frustrations going forward and ask, what do people see? Because not having necessarily a ton of archers around me that I can talk to in person, especially with quarantine, because I had picked up just during that time that everything was shutting down, and especially here in Washington State,
Right.
I kind of was left on my own to figure some stuff out. But so I would say, number one, the grip. Number two, finding consistent anchor points and sticking with those. And even though you could watch a million different videos on YouTube, you're going to find the anchor point that works best for you. And once you find it, you'll know. So um, so I just took the advice of just tip of the nose to the string, line it up, all of that, and finding where I put my hand, my release, where I just kind of anchor my hand, and I tend to do it right at the jaw line, so just right behind my ear and the jaw line. But those are some of those kind of form issues that were really hard for me to figure out, and took a really long time and a lot of frustration to kind of work through. And then finding the stance, how you're standing, your form, all of that's so important. And I do have a friend, Kenny, that I know, and he was a professional archer as well. He showed me how to put my back leg out in front of me just a little bit, and kind of angle it away, and that was really helping so that my arrows wouldn't veer off one way or another. So finding what works specifically for you can be kind of a challenge, and it may not be what they suggest. You have to
Right.
find sort of your own form, and of course and be open to having people give advice. I appreciate that. I never turn down, anyone can shoot me a message and say, here's what I see, this is my advice. I don't mind. I'm pretty open to that critique or that helpful advice.
No, that's good for sure. Yeah, and I know in some recent episodes too, we've talked about how everybody's built different and everybody's going to shoot a bow differently. And because of that, like you're talking about, anchor points may not be exactly the same from person to person. The
Mm-hmm.
grip is not going to be the same from person to person. Neither is the tune of the bow. So I'm very glad that you brought that up. And with the arm thing, I'm glad that you are able to give that perspective from somebody who was struggling with it and had to learn to relax that hand and let the bow push into your palm. Because as soon
Mm-hmm.
as you do that, and as soon as you release the tension on that grip, all the weight of the bow and the weight of the draw is pushing back into your palm and down the bone of your arm, instead of you having to use your actual muscles in your arm and your shoulder and your wrist to grip the bow. Um, like you said, you're a lot more relaxed. It feels a lot more
Yeah.
natural, and it makes all the difference in the world, obviously, as you've attested. So,
Yeah, thank you. And my one piece of advice for anything when you're correcting form, if I was going to be speaking to maybe even a new archer or one that's been shooting for a long time, is be patient and don't give up. So even if you don't figure it out on the first like 12 practices that you do, you're going to figure it out. So just keep up with it. I think there was a couple times I felt like throwing my bow when I was trying to figure out what the heck people meant by these terms, and relax your grip. I'm like, yeah, but that doesn't really make sense. But anyways, stick with it. You're going to figure it out. It's going to be all good. And then you'll get your kind of your groove going there.
absolutely, I could not agree more. So,
Yeah.
so moving on from here, I know you've talked about your desire to get out there and hunt with your husband and your family, but where do you the question that I have written down in my notes is where you
Hmm.
want to go as an archer,
Hmm.
and what are your goals from where you are right now moving forward?
Hmm.
What's the next thing you hope to accomplish?
Yeah, so I kind of see the goals as two separate ones. So hunting, having a successful season with my husband and getting out there and just enjoying what he enjoys is going to be my first goal, because it's fun to have common interests and things like that. I don't have a extremely high expectation that I'm going to get anything, but that's one goal, is just to get out there and do it. And then who knows, maybe I'll get into hunting with a rifle and whatnot. But so that's one goal. My main goal, though, Sam, is that I want to go as far in archery as I possibly can when it comes to competitive shooting. So if that takes me all the way to Vegas, or if that takes me to Reading or wherever, that's the path I'm on. I won't think highly of myself, or I try to stay very like level headed in all of it. But I think if you don't have a goal for something, then such as like a competitive sport or things like that, then you kind of find yourself idling. And for me, I just want to keep moving forward. And whether that's just like Wednesday nights at league, or Tuesday nights or whatever, that's great. I'm going to be happy wherever I land in this. But my goal is to be a professional archer someday. I mean, if I really was gonna if I was going to say that, and I
Yeah.
don't mean that to sound arrogant, I mean that as, yeah, that's my hope someday, that I get to compete on that level.
That there is absolutely nothing wrong with that being your goal and your ambition, and that's what you're shooting for. that's very respectable in my opinion. And as far as your as getting into hunting and then maybe afterward killing something with a rifle, I can tell you
Mhm.
from a guy that started rifle hunting and then eventually transitioned into bow hunting. Once you start hunting with a bow, rifle hunting is going to seem too easy in my in
Yeah,
my in
I
my
can
experience. I
no
once I
doubt.
really got hardcore into bow hunting, I haven't picked up a rifle since. So it's been almost 7 years probably since I shot an animal with a rifle. So
Wow. That is that's actually really awesome. I had gone, we had been invited by a friend, Clint Easley, at Rebel Entertainment. He helps film and do different stuff for outdoorsmen. But we had been invited to go see the full draw film tour, and that got me super. And that was last summer, I think it was. But that's when I was like, you know what? I really want to do this. I want to go hunting. I really think that this would be fun. So yeah, I think I spend a lot of my time watching hunting, videos and like checking out your guys' stuff. I eat it all up. So I'm super excited to try it with a bow and see if all this practice gets me anywhere. Who knows? So sometimes there's this little rabbit that pops out. He's really bold. I'm going to tell you. He pops out now he's coming all the way up to my platform where I shoot. And I'm just like, okay, you're super cute. I'm not going to shoot you. But there are these moments I'm like, hey, I kind of feel like angling my bow straight down and getting you, but I'm not going to. So I didn't think I had that in me. And now I actually think I do have that in me. It's going to come out. So yeah. And my daughter, she's awesome. I mean, she's killed black bears. I mean, she's got all of her deer. We eat the meat that she provides like all the time. So she inspires me a lot to do it too. She does not do bow hunting, but yeah, so I'm excited to do that. So thank you. And I do think bow hunting looks pretty extreme. So I could see why you would find maybe a rifle to be less exciting as than shooting your bow. So
no, it's I wouldn't call it less exciting, so to speak, but for me it was the challenge
yeah,
of
yeah,
bow hunting. And I mean, it seemed like it was either one extreme or another. You either have that animal really close, and every little move that you make is going to make a difference on whether you're successful or not, or you are like the last couple years we've been doing a lot more western hunting, which is longer range spot and stalk
okay,
stuff, and
mhm,
that's another animal of you're shooting at a target that's a lot farther away. And just those challenges and me having to challenge myself in different ways throughout that's where I get the passion for it over rifle
yeah,
hunting in my opinion. So
yeah. That is actually, I'm glad you clarified. Yeah, so challenge versus extreme. That's a good clarification for that. But yeah, the satisfaction I bet is pretty amazing. So I look forward to trying it and seeing how I do. So
it's very
yeah,
rewarding, that's for sure.
yeah, no doubt. I absolutely can see that.
So Brittany, we've talked a lot about archery, your passion, and how all that has grown. And now I'm going to throw something out there that is kind of off topic and that I originally really didn't plan on talking about for this podcast. But when we were exchanging messages, game planning for it, and I sent you over some notes, you mentioned about the goats that your husband and you guys I guess that you raise, and then you use
Yeah.
them out in the woods when you're hunting as well. And so
Yes.
I thought that'd be something cool to bring up here because it's not something you hear of every day, and definitely not something you get to talk to somebody about every day. So I wanted to
Right.
ask about that and kind of get the story behind that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for asking that, Sam. So yeah, my husband and I raise pack goats. We have all male goats. We currently have 8 of them. So we don't have any females. We're not breeding them. We're not using them for anything other than specifically for packing in the mountains. And they're family pets too. So they hang out and they're with our kids all the time. But originally, the reason why we got into this is actually my husband had done a lot of research about pack animals and the particular terrain that he likes to go into and that I've backpacked with him into is high country. It's difficult terrain. He's very much off trail. He doesn't like to do anything easy or simple by any by any means. So the question was, how can I get my wife up there with me, number one, and carrying all that gear and doing all that, but also how can, for him, how can he be most effective packing out animals and not having to carry all of it himself or set up a camp for days. You're pretty limited, and it's hard to be super ultra light while hunting and doing all that, especially in the season that he goes, because it's pretty cold up there and oftentimes there's snow and whatnot. So he had looked into, yeah, saw some people raising pack goats. And so our goats are alpines, and then some of them are mixes. And so we have some alpine sable mix, alpine toggenburg, and alpine oberhasli. So only a few of them are brothers that have the same mom or dad or types mixed in with them. But they are super nimble on the trail. They can get into places. I mean, obviously, anyone that's looked at like National Geographics can look and see the kind of stuff the mountain goats can do. So our goats can go on the tiniest little rocks up a cliff, or do that. And they actually can carry weight. So at about 2 years old, they can carry up to 20 pounds in their packs. And we have special saddles made. They're not to ride, of course, but to put our gear in. Our friend Mark makes those. And then at 4 years, they can carry up to 50 to 70 pounds. So they're very quiet. You don't have to feed them when they're on the trail. They can eat as they go, and they can actually go without water for up to 4 days.
Oh, wow.
So they're a little different than having a horse up there, or taking, a mule or whatever people use to pack. So they've been delightful. They're funny creatures, really smart. And my husband has to train them and get them into these situations. So he does go out and train them weekly, actually. Once spring happens, he's out there doing that with them.
Huh. So, do y'all use them for your own hunts and your own adventures
Yes.
out there? Or I was going to ask if you let, if other friends or anybody, if you go with them and bring goats for them to pack in too.
Yes, both actually.
Okay.
So Ryan takes him up on his own, but oftentimes if he has a buddy joining him, then yeah, they take an additional goat or two, and then they carry the stuff. And like I had mentioned previous, I have a hip injury that, even though it's better now, it does limit some of how the terrain that I go on. So being able to take that weight off of my back and put it on one of the goats is a huge advantage to getting me to some of these areas where I could actually hunt with him. So he hasn't gotten to a point where he'd rent them out or do any of that. Goats are funny creatures, and they can be kind of a pain too. So you got to know what you're doing, and definitely have to know how to handle them. But they're delightful. So anyone that's looking into getting a pack animal, seriously check out alpine goats for packing. And then you can always look at my husband's Instagram page at Steepin Solo. He he posts all their adventures together. It's pretty fun to watch, and we're always humored by it. So
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, that was something that I guess I've heard of it, but I never really put much thought behind it. So it was really interesting when you brought that up, and I'm glad that we could get a little more info on that for the episode. And if anybody's interested, we'll definitely point them in y'all's direction, whether it's info or advice, whatever it might be. So
yeah, that's fun. Thank you. Yeah, I think it's fun to talk about and get to share that passion as well with people.
absolutely. Well, Brittany, we're getting close to kind of the time we tend to shoot for. I really appreciate you coming on board with us here. But before we wrap it up, I have some what we call our rapid fire questions. Just 2 or 3 questions we ask every guest that joins us
Okay.
on the podcast. I promise they're not too hard. So,
Okay.
and the first one, and this is, I guess this might be a little different for you. The first question that we normally ask everyone is to give us one of their favorite hunting and/or outdoor memories that they have to date. I know that you are looking ahead to hopefully some good hunting and outdoor memories. So I don't know if you have anything that stands out that you would want to share with us today. If not, that's fine. But that's normally how we start off our questions.
Got it. I don't specifically have one in regards to hunting, but I will tell you, my husband started taking my daughter at age 7 hunting, and seeing her come home with her first deer was probably the best memory that I can think of regarding hunting. And then seeing her get her first bear, and she spotted it and set up the rifle and everything on her own. I think it was age 10 when she did that.
Oh,
So
wow.
getting, yeah, him taking her out and just seeing the passion on her face, I would say that to this date for me would be my favorite memory surrounding hunting. And anytime I get a call from my husband saying, hey, I got one down, I'm going to be home, later or whatever, those are always great memories and moments.
Absolutely. We are very adamant and passionate about getting youth involved in hunting in the outdoors, and anytime I know several of my son's not old enough yet to hunt, but I know several of us on staff have kids that have hunted with us recently, and I think the parents have been more excited than the kids were whenever they kill their first
Yeah.
deer. So it's awesome.
I love that you guys post those pictures and those stories, because those really get me excited as I'm looking at it. So I appreciate that is a part of what you guys enjoy sharing too. So I'm watching, I'm taking a look, I'm getting excited when I see it. So
Well, thank you.
I
We
appreciate that.
we appreciate it. Thank you. So my next question, and I imagine that this is an endless possibilities for you. Like I said, with you looking ahead to your first big hunting season, but I ask people, what's a bucket list hunt that people haven't gotten to do yet?
Oh, great question. Well, I've not gotten to do any yet, but actually, turkey, that is what I think I'm most excited about. And we've obviously passed that season here. We also don't have turkeys, wild turkeys, just locally for us to shoot. So we have to plan that. But there's something about that excites my heart so much. And maybe it's because it's something that I haven't seen come into my garage yet, from my spouse or something like that. But I love watching your guys' turkey videos and posts and stories. Everybody, actually, any of the people that follow me, if I followed you back, I'm paying attention to those turkeys. So there's something that really excites my heart about that. And plus, I love turkey. So who doesn't like eating turkey? It's simply, you don't have the special recipes or anything for it. So yeah, so that would be bucket list. And then and a mule deer, whitetail, all of those. I'm excited about them all. But yeah,
Awesome.
turkey, there's something about it.
Well, we frequently, I say frequently, there come times every year, it seems like, especially as our organization grows, that we get opportunities to have or be a part of certain hunts. So I will keep you and your husband in mind if we get an opportunity to get y'all down this way and y'all can come for a turkey hunt. We'll keep y'all in mind for sure.
That would be incredible, and I appreciate you even saying that. That'd be an honor to be a part of.
Absolutely, we'd be happy to have you. All right,
Thank you.
last question before we wrap it up,
Okay.
and we have throughout our whole conversation today. I know you've have thrown out a lot of advice for people that are just starting out as archers, leading up into kind of where you're at right now. And I know, like I said, you've thrown out a lot of advice already, but what's one big piece of advice that you would give somebody who is just starting out into archery with the intention of competing and/or bow hunting?
Great question, Sam. I would say why not? Just the words why not. There's no reason that you should be limited in any fashion to being able to pursue that if you're excited about it. I think I remember my age. I mean, I'm about to be 36, and I thought, did I miss the boat? Like, I'm super excited about this, and did I just like get into this way late in life? But realizing there's no limit. You can compete at any capability. You could be disabled and compete. You can be a woman and compete. You could be a child and compete. You can do, a youth and compete. So if you're excited about it, make it your passion. Go after it. Keep practicing. Don't give up. Don't limit yourself with of what you think you can do or cannot do. Just get on the line and let some arrows fly.
Absolutely, that is great advice right there. Well, Brittany, again, I
Thank you.
I really appreciate you taking the time out of your evening to come on the podcast with us, to join us for an episode. It's been awesome talking with you, and some really good stuff. And like I said, we've enjoyed following your archery journey, and we intend to keep doing so. And we encourage others to do the same, because you're doing good stuff.
Thank you, Sam. It's an honor. I really appreciate it, and yeah, great opportunity. I enjoyed talking with you today.
Absolutely. Before we hang it up, would you like to tell our/your listeners, anybody listening to this podcast, where they can go on Instagram to follow along?
Yeah. So if you go to at Just a Lady with a Bow, you can follow along with me. If you're interested in the goats or some of my husband's hunting adventures, at Steep and Solo is his account, and we look forward to following you guys back. So yeah, follow along. You'll watch me make a fool of myself and also post some successes. And I definitely welcome you to make fun of me with it with me. So I'm excited. Yeah. Thank you guys for taking your time out of your day to even listen, and appreciate this opportunity.
Absolutely. And guys, we once again appreciate you all tuning into another Fall Obsession podcast episode. If you guys have not already, please hit that follow and subscribe button and follow along with our journey, bringing folks like Brittany on the podcast and talking about hunting and archery and other stuff outdoors. If you have not already, also go follow Fall Obsession on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're constantly putting out new content relevant to hunting and in the outdoors. That's what we do. It's what we're passionate about. So we encourage you guys to follow our journey. And also on our website, fallobsession.com, that is the hub where you can find all of our content. And on our page, fallobsession.com/podcast, there is a form you guys can fill out if you're interested. You can send us questions, you can suggest topics, or just provide us general feedback on this podcast. And we value everything. We take criticism constructively, I promise. So be sure that you guys check that out if you have any questions. So Brittany, once again, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
So welcome. Thank you, Sam.
All right, and we will see you guys next week back for another episode of our Fall Obsession podcast. We'll see you later.